I'm Lucy. I'm a teacher, basically, that is me. But I'm not really a big fan of boxes. And, you know, the word teacher has a lot of expectation, a lot of sort of demands that come with that label. So as a special educational needs teacher, I've never been a fan of labels. And so the whole point of my talk this morning is to hopefully, as I'm talking, whether you want to reflect, think, write notes, whatever, like whatever feels right to you, is to try and like just get you to come away questioning and thinking about assumptions that you make in your business, or actually in your life. It doesn't have to be your business, does it? But in anywhere that might be not holding you back necessarily negatively, but might be shaping the way that you are moving through your business journey. And how if you challenged those assumptions, those misconceptions, those boxes that we sort of label ourselves with or put ourselves into, if anything would change, basically. When I started my business in 2016, I didn't have a plan. I literally didn't. So I'm going to hopefully use myself as a bit of a case study for that. But before we start, because I'm a teacher, I like to have a bit of a, like, you know, metaphorical, like, I don't know, explanation of what I'm trying to put in here, really. So I'm going to say 2 words to you. And what I'd love is in the chat, if you'd be able to just word association with what I say, just tell me what springs to mind straight away. Adjectives to describe sea slugs. So when I say,
I don't know what that means.
When I say a sea slug, a slug that lives in the sea, sea slug, what comes to your mind? What like image pops into your mind? And if you can either shout it out or write it in the chat, we've got slimy, slow moving, slippery, slow, slimy, fat green slug, gross, slimy, horrible. There's a bit of a theme, right? So, oh, someone said tasty. I want to know more about that. You must like France. So I'm now going to show you a picture, if the happy Zoom people allow me to share, which I think they are, yay. I'm going to show you a quick little picture of what sea slugs actually look like. I'm just quickly going to present this. I'm so sorry. Don't know why it doesn't just go straight in there. These are sea slugs. So a lot of you based your understanding or your like the way you thought about something based on preconceived ideas of what a slug on the ground means to you, right? And so that is a misconception that you put onto a situation which negatively, I would say, impacted what you thought about something. And it's the same as a business. So now, having seen that, I'm going to talk you through my little journey to acquisition and how I think challenging misconceptions or challenging kind of just assumptions, really, more than misconceptions, has really helped me to like build my business, really, because it wasn't really that well planned. So that's us. We're Education Boutique and we were acquired by the Eteach group in 2021. My name is Lucy, and that is what we're going to be talking about today. So the first thing is that I am a teacher. That is what I am. That is the label I give myself, and that has not changed just because now I am a teacher with a business. However, I then changed from a teacher to a private tutor in 2016 when I started my business. I was still just a teacher, but I was giving myself a different name. And then I also became, after maybe a year when I started taking on other teachers and tutors to work for my business, I became a business owner as well. But again, they're just labels and they're just names that I gave myself. I was still just Lucy doing my own kind of like normal thing. So as I said, I'm hoping to use myself to kind of show you how challenging assumptions and misconceptions in my own business has really, really helped me. And basically, I feel that every day I'm just having loads of fun and not having to always feel that I've got the demands of these labels like MD, director, CEO, all of these things. Like, what does that even mean? Everyone's just people. So I guess that where has this come from? At the very beginning, when I first went to leave teaching, and in fact, actually, probably, to be honest with you, when I went to university, I felt that it was an absolute expectation. I literally felt that I didn't have a choice but to go to university. At my school, sixth form was the route you were given was you do your A-levels after your GCSEs, then you go to university. And I really challenged that. I was always that person who was sitting in a classroom being like, but why do I have to learn English in this room? Like, why? Why do I then, when the bell goes, get up, move to another room, and now my brain is only going to learn maths? I just didn't get it. So I always knew that, like, at the beginning of everything, I kind of challenged the way we were educated. However, going to university felt like I had no choice whatsoever. And then imagine my surprise, doing a teaching degree. I get there on the first day, I'm 18 years old, and half my university year group is over 30 because they've worked as teaching assistants, they've worked as all these other things, nurses who wanted to retrain as teachers. And I totally felt let down. I still remember that feeling that day. I felt like I'd been lied to. I felt like I'd been pushed through in this little journey in this box. And I do believe that that's like one of the key moments of my life where I just thought, like, wow, you know, I just was following what I was told. I was a box, I was a, you know, in this box of being a sixth form student, and I knew that that was the route I was going on. So that was probably one of the biggest points of my life when I thought, gosh, this is not really what I was thinking. Then fast forward a little bit, I taught in England, I taught in Dubai. I wanted to sort of experience everything. And I really did think that I was going to be a teacher forever, because you get on that teaching ladder, you go into the classroom, then you eventually will be promoted to be a head teacher, and then you retire, and it's a lovely, safe job. And that's what the box of being a teacher means. Yes, you might work quite hard and you have to put lots of time into displays, and you moan about having to, you know, buy your children pencils sometimes, and you always say, oh, but you know, we don't get 6 weeks for holiday because we have to do lots of work in the holidays. That's like what the expectation was. And I just found it so strange, because I love teaching, but I also absolutely hated it at the same time, because I felt that I was just being pushed into this expected box of the way I'd behave and the way I'd do this. And oh gosh, if you saw a child in Sainsbury's at the weekend and you had a bottle of wine in your, you know, in your basket, goodness me, you had to hide, kind of thing, because a teacher couldn't possibly have a life outside of teaching. And I found that so strange. So in 2016, I decided to leave. And again, I was met with a lot of expectations being put upon me. You know, things like people saying to me, oh, but you won't be employable because you'll have this break in your CV. You know, you can't leave. You're going to be a head teacher in a couple of years. You can't do, like, lots of people just saying you can't, you can't, you can't, you can't, you can't. And to me, I don't like being told what to do. Many of us probably don't. I just thought, you know, how dare you? I'm going to show you that I can do whatever I want, and I can still make a difference to children's life, and I'll create my own little brand of education, and hopefully in the future, maybe I might even be able to change it. So I really do remember, and my mum, bless her, being probably one of the ones that I was most scared of telling, because my family do not start their own businesses. It's not something that anyone has done. It's a safe job. I remember, you know, my grandpa saying to me about being a teacher, like, you know, I'm so happy, it's such a safe job, well done you, this is great. And so I actually didn't tell my mum that I'd handed in my notice. And then, so now she knows, obviously, 6 years later. And she's very happy and proud and whatever. But genuinely, I believe that her box, she knew I was a teacher. And so there was an expectation that I would have a certain trajectory through my life and career and whatever that came with it. And she'd be, oh, you know, Lucy's a teacher. And everyone goes, oh, you know, that's so great. What a wonderful career. And I really, really resented it. So then I sort of started this business, and to begin with, it was just me, myself, and I teaching and tutoring. And one of the reasons that I have this thing of us all just being people and trying not to label ourselves is that some of the people that I'm very lucky enough to work with are some of the wealthiest, most successful people in the whole world, you know, international royal families, huge business owners, people, you know, that Times rich list that's just come out. I think I work with 13 of the top 50, you know, so these people, I just message them and they're just like, a name, you know, they're not this big person who's got all of this, they're just a person, and they've made choices in their life that's got them to a place that's kind of crazy and everyone looks at and goes, wow, like, isn't that amazing? But then you see the difficulties that they have with maybe their children, and you see that everyone is just the same. It doesn't matter how much money you have. And so that's one of the biggest things that I think sticks with me, is that this whole focus of business owners, you know, you want to be the most successful, earn the most, get that 7-figure, 6-figure, whatever you want to do, business going. But actually, when you then strip it all back, everyone's just a person. And that for me is probably the most profound thing that I've realized in my business journey, because early on I definitely was like, I want to put myself in for this award and this award, and I want, you know, the external sort of gratification, if you like, of someone saying, like that star that you get given when you're a little child at school, well done, you got 10 out of 10 in your spellings. Do we need that? Probably not. But it's about just finding that reason that you want to do your business and be the best, and, you know, do it the best way that you possibly can. And that's what I feel so lucky about every day, is that what I've managed to create here is now, from being that like teacher in a classroom, I mean, now I just consider myself still a teacher, but I've got 30,000 tutors working, you know, with the company that I've created. And you just think, like, that's actually crazy, you know, but actually I'm still the same person. Maybe during the journey to get here, I've changed the label I gave myself. But then I think that probably the best piece of learning that I've had on my journey is that you are just, by challenging your own assumptions of different things, that, like, if you label yourself accountant or this or that, and we've all done those personality tests and things, you know, do you need to label yourself in certain ways? Sometimes yes, because it helps you get through certain kind of, you know, certain things fall onto your lap if you label yourself as, you know, I think, Pete, you won the amazing networker of the year. That's very amazing for your business as well. And that's going to help open doors. Same for me when I won the Female Entrepreneur of the Year in Thames Valley. That really actually was really wonderful, because it's helped people look at what I do and go, oh, we should maybe listen to what she says. And then it gives me a platform on which I can start to try and change education. So basically, what I was thinking is, as you're listening to this right now, if you could maybe just write down a couple of labels that you regularly give yourself, and then look at the good things that come with those labels. And then maybe think about some of the either things that you don't like about those labels, or maybe might be not so good to other people. And I'll give you an example of business owner, an agency owner, because I now have a tutoring agency. And a lot of people there's a lot of negative connotations about educational agencies, because it's all considered money grabbing, it's considered disingenuous. I've been called disingenuous before because I own an agency. And then when you see all the lobbying things that you do on the other hand that maybe these people don't know about, you think that's all because of a label. That's all because of the way that you've put yourself out there and perceived. And I think Simon was talking about, you know, marketing and not feeling that, you know, sometimes you're not so good at marketing. But again, that's a label. Marketing, well, this turning up to this is marketing, you know. If you like doing this, do more of it. You don't have to always judge yourself by what other people perceive to be the label, if that makes sense. So yes, I've done loads of cool things. I mean, last year, the last thing I'm going to just explain is that I had to make a really difficult decision during COVID. And that was that I'd spent 5 months in a room teaching online with kids, 400 kids at a time, with, you know, homeschooling and sort of doing that for families where schools weren't providing enough support because they weren't able. And again, it was not their fault. No one knew this was going to happen. So I sort of jumped on and did lots of online teaching for that. That was great. But then I had the opportunity with one of my clients to travel, I know, during COVID. So I actually was based in Austria for 6 months, and we went round everywhere. We went to Miami, we went to Dubai, all of these places. And I really was not so sure if I was going to take that job because I didn't want the label of being seemed to be sort of flouting the rules, if you like, because we weren't. We were, you know, very lucky to be in private jets and things like that. And when you've got a private jet, you can fly in COVID. But for me, it was about that association of like, if I say I'm here, what's that going to put out there to other people? Now, I was then very concerned about the messaging that I kind of put out there about what I was doing while I was there. And it really did turn into such a positive experience, because I talked about the opportunity to world school, educating without boundaries, and we really created a narrative that really helped everyone to see the possibilities of this whole online education. But I think what I'm trying to say here is that, you know, at many points in your business, you'll have issues because of labels. And so it's just about being aware and always questioning and always being curious about how these labels can kind of affect your business, and then looking to the future, how you can use labels to also help you get to where you want to be as well. So yeah, that is my focus for this morning.